Hello and welcome to this episode of Not Just Ghost Stories. I'm your host Josh, joined by Jackie and Laura. We are a small team of experienced paranormal investigators, and here we discuss different locations that we've investigated, along with a little history and the paranormal evidence that we found. But today's show will be a little different, as we're going to be doing a question and answer session from some questions we have had from people that have wondered a few things that they've heard off of our podcast. So, who would like to ask one of the first questions?
Well, I'll take that. One of the first questions we got is, how do you research portals? So.
All right. Laura, you want to start with that?
Sure. For me, I do it by being around them.
Or in them.
Or attempting to open, close. For me, it's been a hands-on experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it really piqued your interest the very first time that when we talked about Whispers Estates, and you were in that portal, not knowing what happened. I think it really piqued your interest on that side.
Yeah, because I think something physical still has to happen for you to feel that way, and I think we still have a lot more documenting to do, because there's got to be some crazy physics going on during that.
Yeah. Jackie, I know that you've printed out, you've gone online and done a whole lot of history of different things that you can find on different portals and vortexes and other things that we found. So we had like a little mini book that we were able to read through on that to kind of understand things. But as far as for me on portals, it's from, how do they affect me? Because it seems like every single portal seems to affect me in some way, shape, or form. And just how is it doing it? And it all comes down to really energy flow is what I found on that. So that's my kind of main research. Of course, we use our instruments, the K2 and the REM pod, and see what happens with this and see what happens with that. And we get very mixed results on that. But, a lot of the research is okay, what happens when we do this? Or what happens when we do that? And how does that affect what's going on in that area at that time?
And we've also tried to label them in our own way as types, so that we know, amongst the three of us, what we're talking about. I think that the research, a lot of it is just logging enough experiences to where you can go back and try to see what is similar, what is completely opposite.
Yeah. Jackie, how do you research them?
That is one problem we've run into. No portal has been the same.
Right.
They open in different places. They open differently. You have different energy coming in. Some are small, some are large. I mean, we can't really lock them all into one pattern saying that this is a portal. They're going to do this, this, and this, because they're all different.
Well, and I mean, the one thing we notice is what affects a portal and how does it open. That's kind of one of the things in our research that we found is, why did it open here? Is there a reason why it opened here? Is there an excess energy in this area? Or was it possibly made by something else, like in Anderson? I
feel like the more portals that we experience and investigate, just the more questions you have. So also, if any of you listening happen to have a idea of where there could be a portal, please let us know so we can check that one out as well.
Or even if you think of something of what we can do in order to try to advance our research a little bit more, let us know. Say, hey, what do you think about trying this? We're always open for suggestions.
Yeah, and don't suggest that we put somebody in the portal, because we tried that with Laura and it got us nowhere.
Yeah, she kind of just blanked out on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And came back.
Yeah.
And then couldn't describe what was on the other side, so.
Well, that was also her first kind of real ghost hunt. So it might be different.
The first was scary things.
Yeah.
That's also one thing we don't stop and think about. A portal is a doorway. A door opens in and it opens out. What's on our side, we know. But what's on the other side? And by that, I mean, who's on the other side? Why did the portal open? Because somebody on that side opened it. Why did the portal close? Because somebody on that side closed it. Why they did it? No idea.
Yeah.
It's, I did come out again, back to Whispers. At one point, you guys weren't, I don't think, no, you guys weren't there and stuff, but I talked to a being that came out of the portal, and he used it as a transport system.
Well, that kind of leads us to our second question, which is, have we ever let anything through a portal that we didn't want? Or even, you can even flip that, is, have we ever let anything through that we did want? So,
Yes.
I mean, that kind of leads us to our next question. So talk about that being a little bit more.
Yes, we have done research, not with you guys weren't there, it was with somebody else. I did open a portal and I watched this little bunny come hopping in, and he did come out of the portal, and I allowed him out.
We hope it was a bunny.
I did not let the goats out, though.
Did not let the goats,
The
no.
goats do not belong in Ross's Opera House, and we did not let them
Right.
out.
Well, and then when it comes down to those portals, you got to really kind of think on it. We've opened a couple, ourselves by doing different things, trying the mirror effect, which is, two opposite mirrors and then concentration on it in order to try to get them to open. We've tried to manifest it, that way. But a lot of these portals that we've ran into have been made by something else. They're already there.
Yeah.
We just don't know why.
Yeah, and we can already assume that it just doesn't go to somewhere else on Earth, because we've seen things that, as far as we know, are not on Earth.
Yeah. So
Some things we hope aren't on Earth. Andersonville, what was at the end of that portal, we hope never comes on Earth.
the things that I saw in my head from that portal are things I would never, ever want to come through that portal. That's something that I would probably try to fight tooth and nail to make sure it didn't come through. It was not good.
Or run. It was one of those iffy things. It's
Yeah.
like, do we fight it or do we run?
Yeah. I don't think I would ever want them into this, well, I guess you can call it realm, at that level. That's the only thing I think
I don't
of.
run that fast.
Exactly. That's why I'm going to be next to you.
I only have to run faster than you.
But
Yeah.
that also brings up a good question. When that portal opened, and at Andersonville, we learned two things: that you can put a lock on a portal so that only you can open and close it. Thankfully, the being we were dealing with had a little bit of an ego, and he opened it to show us how wonderful he was. What was at the other end of that portal? Why did it not come through? It was at the other end, but I never felt them step into the portal or try to come through.
I think it was all because of that being that was there, that opened, that unlocked it enough for us to see inside it. That's why they didn't come through.
Yeah, that doesn't mean to say that he doesn't also have it locked on the other side. Or maybe he can just control the energy flow.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. He might have been just telling them, no, not yet. Not yet. I'm just doing this to prove a point.
Or it could have been that he knew we're badasses.
That's right.
Well, he's like, man, these guys are crazy. They're just sitting here.
Let me see just what I can get away with.
So anyway, as you can tell, we have a lot of questions about portals. We learn a little bit, but it's almost like being spoon-fed to us. We learn that there are portals that go one way, portals that will allow things into our world, but you cannot get back through using that portal. There'd be another portal and stuff. We've also, and I'd like to point out, we did the mirror thing and put candles there, and while you could feel the flow of energy, the candle light never flickered.
Yeah, it remained still the whole entire time. And then, getting into the realm of portals and things that can come through them and things that we haven't let through and things that we have let through, or don't think we've let through or anything like that. There's also vortex energy, which that one was different. The vortex energy is a completely different thing. And I think we've talked about this before on other podcasts, but the vortex is a different thing from a portal. Where portals, you can feel the energy going up and down, side to side, in and out.
Right.
Vortex, it spins. It's literally like a cyclone in a spot. And in this case, there was two, and it felt like really the one was trying to suck you in and one was trying to push you out. But
You're in between a battle.
yeah, and did they connect to the same thing? We have no idea. We don't know, but I do know that it made us, it made me angry. And I hate saying that because of other things that people I know watch and see, and they're like, oh, he's so angry. But we got a little crazy in that one, didn't we, Jackie?
Yes, a vortex is more subtle. Also, a vortex is farther reaching because the room where the vortex was in the next room over, when you stood in that room, you didn't feel the effects of the vortex, but you felt the energy flow from that vortex.
Yeah.
It was strong enough to push it out that far. So, and also, I still think a portal is more a door. You open the door, you walk through it, you close the door. A vortex, and I've only had the experience with that one, and I think a vortex can hurt you.
Yeah. Well, and it's someplace that, knowing that it's there now, I would love to go back and check it out some more. Kind of understanding what we're dealing with at this point now, because at that point we did not understand.
No, we didn't even know it was a vortex till actually we got out of the thing and went, I think we just learned what a vortex is.
Well, Jackie, I believe that was the first time I ever actually yelled at you.
You did yell at me. He yelled at me.
I think we need to do a lot more studying and brainstorming before we put ourselves back in a situation of being in a vortex. Because that was scary.
Stay out of the vortex and do your research around the outside of it.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for another one yet, I don't believe.
No.
Yeah.
And yes, Josh did yell at me, but I was getting ready to stab him 12 times.
Yeah. Something was telling her to stab me 12 times. And if that shows anything, that's kind of how an effect it had on the two of us. I know it had an effect on Laura, but I think she was more scared because she was kind of dumbfounded at that point.
We don't generally argue amongst the three of us, and
we don't argue
not for
out
sure
of anger.
I was like, well, whose side do I take? I mean, I'm just not going to say anything.
I was going to stab you 12 times too. It didn't matter what side you took.
Yeah.
That's so mean.
and these were thoughts that did not seem foreign to me at that time. I was actually sitting there calculating where I was going to stab him, how many times. And
now the question is do you think it was something that was putting that into your mind that's coming from the vortex?
Did I feel a presence there? No. Was there energy there? We saw that.
Oh yeah.
Just simply by, and the vortex would pulse. It would be, you'd stand where it was and you'd feel nothing, and all of a sudden it was like, it's like that song about being eaten by a boa constrictor. He eats your toes and your knees, and then he's up to your shoulder, and then he's got your head. Bam, you're in the middle of a vortex.
Yeah, which was the weirdest feeling overall. I can just remember walking out, leaving that basement, and walking outside, and I think I was outside for quite a while on this, but I mean, and we'll get more into that once we get to that place and actually doing that podcast.
And that did linger.
Yeah.
Because I still sometimes think I should stab him 12 times.
No, I think that's just at this point, she's just like, yeah, I need to.
Well, maybe I thought about it long enough. It seems like a good idea.
Which makes me think the next time that we're around one, we definitely need to put that muse on you and see if your brainwaves are doing something.
Yeah, that's one of our pieces of equipment is something to monitor brainwaves.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that, but it monitors the 5 brainwaves, and you wear it. I like wearing it because I feel like a Xena warrior princess, because it's kind of like a little crown with lights on it and stuff. But it does. It shows your brainwaves and everything, and we do wear it. And not being a brain person, I can't tell you what it's doing, but I can see the lines. And we were at Twin City Opera House, and all of us wore it. And it was funny, the three of us, sort of non-psychics, our brain patterns were kind of alike. But when Laura put it on, her brain pattern was different.
Yeah, it was totally different on that one.
It always is.
Yep. Well, then that brings us to our next question. What's our next question, Jackie?
So we covered the have we ever let anything through?
Yeah.
Okay. The next question is what makes a psychic? We had, and by that question, not what makes a psychic, like studying and stuff like that, but why are some people, do we want to say born with this ability, and other people have the ability, but it's not at the level, like psychics are born at level 12 and the rest of us are born at maybe level 2.
Yeah. Well, now let's kind of think on this a little bit, because a lot of people say in the paranormal community, dogs and babies can already see spirits.
Yes.
Without us being able to see spirits.
Right.
Right. So are we all born with a psychic ability? If we can all see it? Because our mind's on a different plane?
I don't feel that we are, mainly because talking to the psychics, it comes easier to them. And I'm not saying it's easy. I get it. It's got, it's got its own baggage. But it comes easier to you than it does to me. I've had to use my intuition for a long, long time. And yet there are things you can pick up details quicker than I can. And a lot of times I can't even pick up the details.
I really had never thought about it that, everyone didn't get those feelings and I guess flashes of things until Jackie told me that I was psychic.
I think I said psycho and she misinterpreted.
Yeah,
so
but then
we
I
just
was
went
like,
with
wait
it.
a minute. That I don't know how I know that. I don't know really what would make me different from you.
Yeah, but then start looking through your family lineage. We ended up finding what?
We ended up finding that, there's quite a few in my past that have been. I'm from a small town. I was raised Christian. It was never spoken about. But if you go back to my grandmother was apparently able to do things until she reached a certain age, and I believe she just turned it off. That's how I feel. But the grandparent before her and then the one before that, the whole family has talked about things that they saw and just nonchalant. They just didn't think anything about it. But when you get back to those, that is where my Indian heritage comes from.
Yeah.
So possibly because, spirituality and things is, what they essentially worship. So I don't know, maybe Mother Nature has something to do with it. Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
I think so. Like you say, most people are born with, we all have deja vu. We all have that feeling that, I always said that my mom, if I didn't call her enough, she'd send me nasty thoughts and I had to pick up the phone and call her and things. And, to an extent, that there might have been a little bit of that there and stuff. But so we all have that. And in working with the ghost hunting and stuff and learning that this is energy and kind of learning how to manipulate energy, I have found myself, where were we? That I touched that, that was whispers, and I touched that thing in the doctor's office, and it was horrible. I mean, I could see, not that I could see, but I felt that there was rape going on there, there's blood going on there, it was just, I felt so dirty and stuff like that. That doesn't happen to me all the time, but it happened that time.
Well, I mean, my biggest thing with it all I feel like a lot of it comes down to brain function. Is how, and we kind of saw that a little bit between you and I when we were at Twin Cities, and then when Laura put it on, the brain function was different. I believe it's on a different level, but that brain function still, like even you and I mean, I don't consider myself psychic, but for some reason this stuff pops in my head, right? I think it's the other people that can see further than that is what makes a psychic on that. So, we have a friend, she's been on the show, Donna, she's a psychic, and the things about some of the stuff that she can do, she's very powerful in it, and is able to really understand things.
It's
And
been
she's also evolved. I know when I first met her, she had a dog, and she's like, Jackie, can you come over? And, this dog has problems and stuff. And I looked at her and I said, Donna, you're a psychic. Talk to the freaking dog. She's like, I don't talk to animals. I do people. And me, not being a psychic, I can be real hard with them. I'm like, you're psychic. You talk to dead people. You talk to animals. And now, actually, my collie went to her for a reading once. I mean, literally, my collie went upstairs. She was doing readings at my house. And I went up, wanted to know if she needed anything. And she's like, oh, Indy came to me. You probably know he has a toothache. I said, my dog came to you for a reading? She's like, yeah, I guess.
So, there's on different levels. Like, one of my favorite people to watch, there's a few different shows and everything else, but there's a couple that I love to watch. For me, Chip Coffey is an amazing psychic. I mean, and the stuff that he can pick up over a telephone or over a computer, and it's just all of a sudden starts coming to him. I just believe that brain function for him works on a different higher level than anything that we're on, and he's been doing it his whole entire life. So he's been able to perfect it and strengthen those brain functions in order to make things work out for him. So I think that's kind of one thing that makes a psychic. What other kind of things would make a psychic?
I think a lot of it might be why small children are psychic. If you grew up in a psychic family, and instead of when small kids go, there's something under the bed, instead of the parents going, oh, just go to bed, you're tired, the parents take it seriously. They are giving belief to the kid that, yes, what you've seen, there is something there, so that the kid never grows up doubting himself and putting it away. A lot of people turn it off because they get involved in life or they get tired of being ridiculed.
Well, then let's take that to the next question that we ended up getting asked. That was kind of derivative off of this. Is can a non-psychic become psychic?
I think yes, but can I ever reach Laura's ability? I don't think so.
There's definitely different levels. And really, it's one of those things that I think practice definitely improves it, because the things I can do now based on, what I could do are much higher. I've been lucky, though, to be connected to other psychics that I could ask questions. So that's helped as well. So I believe that you can learn. Now, when you're talking about psychics, there's a lot of different types and different abilities. Can we all learn them all? I really don't think so. I don't think the best psychic in the world has access to everything.
Yeah.
I kind of disagree with you, or I'll put a qualify on it. Because like I say, not being a psychic, I can ask them to do impossible things. And sometimes they do it, and they're kind of amazed themselves that they can do it. You may not be as good as maybe you see spirits, but you don't hear them as well, or you don't pick up their scent or something. But I think you can do that. And I think the limiting thing is when you say, I can't do it.
That might be why I can't do it.
Well, then,
because I just can't wrap my head around that you could do all those things. But
well, let me ask you this. Is there somebody that you think, and it kind of goes along with can a non-psychic become psychic? Is there somebody that you think that could be psychic that had some type of block, and that block is then taken away?
I'm looking at them.
Yep.
You're psychic, and you choose to ignore it or are afraid to admit it and to use it.
Okay.
She is brutally honest today.
She's always like that.
Boy, that question bounced right back on you, didn't it?
Well, it was just one of those things. I don't know why it just popped in my brain, but I figured I had to ask it because it's one of those things. Laura, I mean, when you and I first met, you didn't know anything about ghost hunting.
No.
I was always very interested in it, didn't know how to go about it. But then you sent me on my first ghost hunt for my birthday with Jackie.
Yeah.
Right. Then from there, it started
To
to go
Waverly Hills.
to Waverly Hills. That was my very first ghost hunt,
Me-
was Waverly Hills. And let me tell you, that was
If
crazy.
you're gonna do it, do it.
So anyway, as we then progress, you see, hey, me and Jackie are going to this ghost hunt. You decide you want to get involved,
Yep.
right? We were watching the shows. You're like, this is actually kind of interesting. Next thing you know, we start to get more and more into it. You all of a sudden realize that you have a psychic ability. It's like a block that was taken up. So, I mean, there are probably more than one person out there, many, many people out there that have this block and have some type of psychic ability and don't understand what it is and don't know how to unblock it because they have been pushed down their whole entire life that none of this is real. I mean, that's what happened with Laura.
I still test myself all the time.
Yeah.
Just, I guess, to prove it to myself. Just little things.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things. So it's not really the person is always born with the ability, I believe.
I like to feel that we're all born the same, but you had a switch that turned on, and my switch hasn't been turned on. So that makes you psychic and me not.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, how about then another question that we've been asked then?
Okay, how do you communicate with spirits? We'll give you the short answer. There's many, many different ways. Flashlights. Everybody's seen the flashlight technology. You have a flashlight, it's almost on. The spirit can turn it on, can turn it off. Pendulums, we talk about pendulums. And what's some other things?
Sensory depth.
Yeah.
Sensory depth to me lately has become a huge one because we have had some things that have come down to confirmed answers. You ask a question, you're getting a response, and it's almost eerie because usually I'm the one that's under the sensory depth. I literally cannot hear anything other than static, and I'm just throwing out whatever I hear. Now, sometimes in sensory depth, is it what I'm hearing in my head compared to what I'm hearing in my ears? Yeah, but it's still stuff that I'm hearing. I'm just going to go on and say it because it might be answering a question that one of you two have asked. And when we go back and listen, it's crazy, how
They can.
accurate.
I think they can put answers in your head.
Yeah.
It's just, do you trust yourself enough to just say it out loud?
Right. And that they don't even need us to do sensory depth. They can talk to you. Everybody has those voices in their heads, but you also know which is your inner voice and which isn't. And some of the things, our most recent ghost hunt, some of the things, Laura was asking a question, and I held back because I don't have the cleanest language, but there are some words I don't use, and they were popping up in my head in answers to her questions. So, to give you physical proof, I can't. But to me, that was that was not me. I was not making those answers.
Which is another way we communicate. You have to, when you're ghost hunting, you have to know yourself. I mean, that's kind of a huge communication tool, is yourself. So you have to kind of be in touch with your brain, your body, your soul, and your own energy when you're doing this. So that way you can communicate in those instances too, right? So, I mean, going down into that, you have them. I think for me in sensory depth, it comes to me easier. Under sensory depth is the way I feel about it, because for some reason, most of the words I will say out loud, I'm usually hearing going through. One of the last investigations that we were on didn't really get a whole lot of answers, but there was something coming through and it was talking so fast and then so underneath that static that I couldn't hear what it was saying. And that point, I can remember tapping into myself going, okay, I need to see if I can pull this out, but it just wasn't happening. It just wasn't going for some reason. So was it me? No, I don't think so. I think it was some of the entities that were at that place. They were just very quiet entities. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of be on tune with that also.
Well, and like you say, sensory depth seems to be your thing. I don't do it that often. We were at Mansfield Reformatory. There's a room in there which is like sensory depth. You just sit in it. It's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And what came through there was something I'll never talk about. So
Well, I can remember you coming out that door going, I'm not going back in there.
yeah,
And
to me, sensory depth, and I did some reading into it, a sensory deprivation chamber and stuff actually helps your health and mental and physical. But 1% of the people have a bad experience. And let me tell you, that bad experience is something you don't want to experience. So I didn't do sensory depth for the longest time. I will do a little bit of it, but I am getting out of it the minute it turns bad.
I mean, sensory depth for me, it makes me, I don't know how to explain it, but it puts me more on edge. And I think putting me more on edge helps me heighten my senses. For some reason, which I don't think we've talked about Old South Pittsburgh yet in the podcast, but we will. I did sensory depth there. I could feel, I know that people in the room, I don't know where everybody was at in the room, but I knew that there was something above me. I was sitting in a chair, I believe. There was something above me. It was in the corner of the room, and it was coming at me. And I believe I ended up, because things were a little murky by that point, I ended up actually just taking everything off and getting out of the room because I couldn't take it. It was literally coming down on me, and I couldn't hold it off with myself at that point. It was more of like, okay, he's right there. The last one that we were just on, it didn't freak me out, but I was trying to get whatever it was away, and we think we know what it is, and we'll get to that in the podcast, but felt like it was like kind of sitting on top of me. It wouldn't let go, and it was just kind of like had to be right up in my face. So I think in those kind of things, if I was not under sensory depth, do you think I would have felt the same thing? Is kind of what I'm asking.
To me, it sounds like your sensory depth is it allows you to have a focal point. Well,
Yeah.
like when I need to focus, my crystal ball will help me with my focal point. And sensory depth allows you to shut off everything and get more inside than outside.
What other ways have you communicated, Laura, with spirits?
For me, let's see, imagery. If I sit long enough, you get the snippets. I love it when they answer with knocks. So that's an old school one. You don't even need anything to do it with.
Yeah.
And that's another way. We have the dandy, we've talked about that, which is the pendulums that they can manipulate. We have the dowsing rods, dowsing pendulums. We have the K2 meter that lights up, and these spirits can manipulate that energy to light it up. And there's the old school stuff. I'd like to start, and I know it's like kind of a taboo, and we're gonna go into it real easy and stuff, but I'd like to use the Ouija board, and maybe not the planchette, but a pendulum, so they can spell out their name and
Yeah.
see how that does. Now we were at one, it was Ross's Opera House, and we had somebody talking to us, and I did ask the question, and if I remember, I'll ask this question: what's the easiest way? And their answer was them putting the words into our head was the easiest way for them.
Yeah, I think we just have to be confident enough to just spit out whatever comes in there. But then sometimes you're like arguing with yourself, and by the time you settle it, you don't even remember what they said.
Yeah, that is a problem, that when you're communicating with spirits, don't start communicating with yourself.
All right.
That's why I try to write it down. Like when I'm sitting, trying to be quiet, asking them to talk to me, I try to write down things as well, so
And
I don't get them crossed.
that is another way that none of us have ever tried. I don't think I could do it. I don't know if you can or not. I say I don't think I can do it, but now I've got that my daughter's haunted artistic statue making me write a play for her, so this could be different. But anyway, what do they call that writing? Automatic writing.
Automatic writing.
Yeah, we've never tried that, but that is, again, another way that people do communicate with spirits. For everybody out there who's not psychic or maybe skeptic, your best way is to talk to them. If they are just spirits and you talk to them and please don't do that, or could you knock or something like that, you usually get a response.
Well, you got to think at one point they were human.
Yeah.
Do you treat them human? A lot of times they'll treat you human back, so
Basically, the ways are countless.
Yeah.
We even come up with new ways all the time.
yeah, we do.
Yeah,
All
and there's a lot of equipment out there that new ways. We didn't even mention the portal and tons
I
of
mean,
them.
there's a ton, from spirit boxes to
Ovuluses.
Ovulus. I mean, there's a
And
ton of
your
ways to
phone
talk to them.
apps.
Yeah. So your phone apps, I'm still not 100%
Yeah,
sold yet.
what you have to do, though, is don't accept every way at face value.
Yeah.
We have gotten some pretty good answers with an ovulus. But we've also gotten crazy, stupid answers with an ovulus. We have gotten some good answers with the phone app.
Mm-hmm.
The lady that was murdered and didn't know her name.
Yep.
But we've also gotten some stupid answers with the phone app. So don't allow that to be your definitive. Well, she said her name was Elizabeth. It must be, or the phone app said Elizabeth. That must be her name.
You
try
have
to go. Yeah.
The best thing you can do as an investigator is ask questions. You're always asking questions. If you settle on an answer, that basically takes you out of the whole entire investigation, because now you're settling on something that you heard off of something that you can't be guaranteed. So if something tells me that its name is Elizabeth, I am going to ask again. I'm going to ask 2 questions, and then I'm going to say, hey, what was your name? What's your name? And then if it comes back and tells me, well, now it's Bob. Okay, nothing right here is making any type of sense. You have to ask questions. Questions are the biggest thing in the world when it comes to an investigation.
And also you ask a spirit, what's your name? He says Bob, and then later on you tell me, ask him if his name is Bob, so that I'll ask the question and I may get a different answer.
Exactly. All right, now the last question that we have right now, Jackie, I'm going to ask this question, and then we can all 3 answer it if we would like, but you're going to answer first. What's up with Tech Jeff?
Well, every good ghost hunting group needs a technician, because if our equipment fails or something like that, and we'd be out equipment. So we have Tech Jeff. Is his name Jeff? No, his name is Robin. He does ghost hunt with us, and he happens to be my husband. But Tech Robin just doesn't sound as good as Tech Jeff.
Now, what is his alternative to being called Tech Jeff?
He wants to be called Super Tech Robin, but he's got a little bit of an attitude adjustment to make before we're going to call him Super Tech Robin. He is
I
Tech Jeff.
usually refer to him as that, but that's because he made me sound like Donald Duck one time for us to review a podcast. And so I've just decided that I'm going to be nice to him, because at the end of the day, he has control of that.
It wasn't really Donald Duck. It was more of a chipmunk, like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
It was not me. I honestly thought there was something wrong with the computer.
Hence why my answer was, he needs an attitude adjustment before he's Super Tech Robin. He is Tech Jeff.
Now, we are all saying this, and you might not hear any of this on the podcast, just to let you know. But
because Tech Jeff does the editing.
But, Robin / Tech Jeff is, if it wasn't for him, this whole entire podcast would not be happening. I will say that.
Yeah. He makes us sound good. Actually, we all do sound like chipmunks, and we can't pronounce any words, but because of Tech Jeff, we sound professional.
No, we really do thank him. He spends a lot of time making this happen for us.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what I do want to tell people is we're answering these questions. We didn't get a whole lot of questions, but these are all questions that we can go very elaborately on. We want your questions.
They were in-depth questions.
They were very in-depth. So we want your questions. Go to our Facebook page. You can message us. You can email us at notjustghoststories@gmail.com. You can go to Not Just Ghost Stories on Facebook and do that. You can go to notjustghoststories.com and go onto our website and even ask us through an email on there. You have many different ways that you can ask us questions, so please ask us questions. Now, with that also being said, we do private hunts. We do public hunts. We do all kinds of stuff. Jackie, what other kind of ghost hunts do we do?
We also do urban legends.
Yes. Now, with that being said, we want people to contact us if you are having an issue in your house, if you are having a problem, if you just want to say, hey, if you want somebody to say, hey, please tell me I'm not crazy. Tell us your story. Tell us what's going on. We might be able to even come to your house. We don't charge anything. We will do a ghost hunt. You can be there with us. We will help you. So make sure that you do contact us.
And we also, as you can tell by our school one, we understand people don't want it out on the public and stuff. So we are very discreet.
Yeah. And we will ask, hey, do you want it to be on the podcast? You can say, nope, not whatsoever. And it will never happen.
Or you can say, yes, can I call in and be on the podcast? And we'll go, sure.
Yeah. I mean, even if you say, well, you can use it, but I don't want my name or my address or anything used. We're just going to say, hey, it was a private hunt that we did it in somebody's house. So please, contact us, email us. We are perfectly happy with trying to answer anything that anybody has.
And if we can't help you, we are involved in the paranormal community, and we can hook you up with people that probably can help you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And any last words?
And we don't call you crazy because guarantee your story, we can out crazy it
That's
with
right.
another one of ours.
We have a lot.
And if we can't, then we definitely want to come so that we can experience it.
Exactly.
And just for a teaser, making you keep listening and stuff, we've been feeding you the easy stuff. We're going to start feeding you the weird stuff.
Yep. It is coming up.
Yep. If you're like, how do I learn about things that I think exist that people don't talk about? This is the place you need to be.
Well,
Or little things called the Monroe House. A lot of people know about the Monroe House. And yes, we've been there.
or Hinsdale.
Hinsdale, yep.
Very crazy there. There are many places that we have been to that you've seen on the shows. Yes, we have been there. Let me tell you, you don't see it on the shows, some of the stuff that we actually ended up finding there too. So, with all of that being said, this has been Not Just Ghost Stories. I've been your host, Josh.
Laura.
And Jackie.
And until next time, you can find information and contact us on our websites at notjustghoststories.com. Thanks.